Hi everybody, welcome back to the review thing. My name is Graeme. Today I'm joined by Tony. He's the owner of a retro gaming shop over here in Ireland called the Retro Gaming Store Plus. We're going to kind of discuss his collection, how he runs his business, and just generally have the crack. So let's see how we go. So I suppose the first thing is I've read your bio that's on your website, and you talk about your first console when you were 6 years old, and that was a Commodore 64. Really kind of just to get started, what were your kind of earliest memories of the Commodore 64, and what do you think was the first thing that kind of drew you towards gaming? Was there anything, like a particular game or advert or anything like that?
I think I remember my parents winding me up all day on Christmas Day, telling me they didn't get the Commodore.
Oh.
And it was only that evening where they told me to go back into the sitting room and said, "There's a big black bag there. There's something in it." And I opened it up, and of course, it was the Commodore 64.
Oh,
but it was the Blockbuster, the Hollywood Blockbuster edition.
Okay.
So it had like Platoon, The Great Escape, and Rambo. My first experience was loading Rambo, and it didn't work.
Was it the boot ROM error or something like that? So
I don't know. We didn't realize at the time you could actually turn the tape over.
All right.
Even though it didn't have any writing on the back, it actually loaded from there. But in terms of getting into it, I think with the Commodore especially, it was Platoon. Game wasn't particularly amazing, but the music in the game was absolutely fantastic. And I remember, I was probably too young to watch the movie Platoon, but I do remember the music from it. So that was kind of my real intro, apart from taking the Commodore apart and not being able to fix it. Yeah.
I was the exact same. My first console, well, the household's first console was the NES. And I remember when people kind of stopped playing it, I asked my dad if I could take it apart. And I was like, sure, that's fine. And I took it apart and I could not get it back together. I just kind of closed it and put it back, and then nobody touched it after that. So it was just
ever.
No, that was it. It was just kind of put there, and then that was it. Then the SNES came along, and then it got put back in its box, and then kind of put away. So I kind of managed to dodge that bullet.
I got caught taking mine apart, unfortunately, and I couldn't put it back together. So we had to take it back down to the shop the next day. And luckily enough, the guy was a technician of some kind.
Oh,
even though we bought it in a chemist, we actually bought it in the local chemist shop. But it was actually part chemist, part computer game store. Very random combination, I know.
Sounds like it would work.
But he put it together, and I still have it.
Oh,
and I still use it. We've made a couple of updates to it, but it's still the same tape deck. Still the same tape deck, and still the same breadboard.
Happy days. My NES is long though. I go put it in the box and then I go put it in a skip. So I dodged that bullet massively.
My wife's just told me she's watching in the background.
To make me very nervous. Oh god, there's people watching.
Don't worry about it.
He's messing up.
Do you mean when I used to travel and go to?
That was one of the questions I was going to ask. Yeah, I was trying to kind of put in some kind of chronological order.
That's a tongue twister.
Jesus Christ, and being Scottish as well doesn't help. But I know that you've kind of travelled the world, and you've been to kind of loads of different gaming shops and things like that. And in your eyes, what would make a good gaming shop? Is there anything in particular you look for? And are there any kind of particular that you've been to that stand out?
Well, I love, as you can tell, I love conversational games.
Aye. So
I think the first thing that I find is when you walk into a game store, to be able to actually chat on the same level as somebody working there or somebody who owns it.
Exactly.
I think it makes a big difference to the store. I think kind of that almost there's my tongue twister, old worldly, stop laughing. That feel that you get that you just don't get anywhere else. And I think knowledge. I think when you ask a question, and to be honest, most of us already know the answer when we walk into a store. It's almost like testing the person who works there. It is. I know it is. I've done it, and I know it's been done to me too. But it is something that you kind of want to know. The person that's behind the counter knows what they're talking about, and two, actually cares about what they actually do.
Exactly.
And I think that makes all the difference, especially in smaller stores.
Aye. Like, that was one thing that we noticed when we came through. Like, not only were you super approachable, but when we came through, we instantly got chatting to you, like, within the first, 2 minutes. I can't necessarily remember what it was we were chatting about, but I just remember leaving thinking, like, God, he knew what he was talking about. That was great. Like, my buddy who came through, he was kind of making a comparison between, like, your shop and, like, going into, like, CEX, where the guy behind the counter doesn't really care too much and wouldn't really engage in conversation too much. But,
I've watched all your YouTube videos.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I love watching the Irish YouTube gaming video channels.
All right, aye.
It's like you're supporting your own, really. So
see, that's the thing. Over here, like, obviously I'm Scottish, as you can tell by the accent, but
just a little bit.
I love it over here, but the only thing is the game hunting scene. It just seems to be non-existent. Like, there's, like, the day I found, like, your shop online, I was like, oh, no way. And I started going through everything. I was like, oh, no way. Because it was, like, during the pandemic, and then you started sending me, like, the lists of the stock and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, look at all this stuff. And I had to kind of...
I think that was before we had a website as well. I think we were sending Excel spreadsheets at the time. I think that was during the first lockdown, yeah.
You were. That's how I first saw the stock. Was I think it was Facebook, and then I messaged you on Facebook, and then you sent through the stock. And I remember, like,
that was a long
Control
list.
F and, oh man, but it was multiple long lists. It was like,
yes,
here's all the NES games, and here's all the SNES games, and all the N64 games, and it was just, I remember it being extensive. I was like, no way. And then when the website went live, I was just going through it for ages, going like, oh man, I need that, I want that, I need that. That was the same yesterday as well, after that live video with the all the SNES and Game Boy stuff. I missed the Game Boy, the Super Game Boy. I was raging. I saw it last night and I was like, I'll need to add that to the basket. And then when I went on it this morning,
somebody did that about 2 o'clock this morning.
Oh, raging.
Yeah. I always find that people buy really, really late at night or early in the morning, because both Pokemons went at the same time, but two different people. Yeah. But like one was like 1 o'clock in the morning and the other was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
There's nothing.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, kids are in bed.
That's when I'm buying.
Partners in bed.
She'll never know. But the game hunting over here doesn't really seem to be. It's not as big a thing. Like, there's yourselves, and there's only another handful of shops that are good. Like, there's still places that are, you know, trying to sell retro expensive just for the sake of being, you know, retro, like like specialized kind of thing.
It's kind of what I miss about the UK, actually, funnily enough, because I lived over there for years and I loved. There's so many stores.
Oh,
but even the charity shops were fantastic over there. As a collector, it's a great place to go.
Like, I'm getting the majority of my stuff in the UK sent to my buddy in Wales, James, who does the channel with me. Like, I asked him at the start, when we started the channel, I was like, do you mind if I get a couple of bits sent to yours and I'll pay for postage? He's like, can't you bother? And the first box he sent over was a huge box of stuff.
Nice.
I just kept getting wee bits sent to him. I was like, oh, there's another game coming, and oh, there's another game coming. And then we were on Discord one day, and he was like, do you want to see all the stuff that you've ordered? I was like, okay. And then he just pulls out this big box of stuff. this. Like, oh no, I'm going to spend an extra 30 quid in postage. But it was the same as well when my mum's in Scotland, so I was getting a lot of stuff sent to her. And there's a video going to be coming up soon. Basically, the majority of what you see here was all for Scotland, all ordered for Scotland. I had to get a new bookshelf for all the stuff as well, just to kind of have somewhere to put it. But no, it's so to go back to that, like, your shop seems to be like very, very pivotal for building like some kind of game hunting scene in Ireland. I think like there needs to be something somewhere that we can start kind of, you know, focusing up on, because it seems like there's no very much. There's like high demand but kind of almost low quantity. Like, there
I think I could probably know the reason why as well. I think it's so niche, especially kind of the retro side. Retro side is kind of the gaming world in Ireland. It's so niche, and you're right. There's some seriously big hitters in this country, and there's a lot more collectors than I actually originally thought as well. But I think it's finding a physical store in terms of, like, it's not hard. I'll rephrase that. It's not easy to replenish stock as a retro gaming store, but you still have huge rent, and huge rates, and huge bills, and it's a big risk. But hopefully, what I'm about to do, with the YouTube channel is maybe going to help push maybe a couple of people into maybe opening a store. Because I never see it as competition. I just see it as growing the scene.
You know, there's people trying to sell GoldenEye for still like 80 quid and things like that because, you know, because
unfortunately,
it's retro. Yeah. But
you see it a lot on Marketplace as well, unfortunately. As soon as the word retro is mentioned, it suddenly kind of adds a knot to the price almost. Yeah. It
goes back to that kind of niche, like you were saying. So before you had the Retro Gaming Store, which is the Retro Gaming Store Plus now, it was rebranded there recently enough. It was a Retro Gaming Store just before that, but you had a store before that, did you?
I did.
So
we actually started, a friend and I started a mobile phone accessory business in a local market stall while we still had a full-time job. We used to do it on Saturday.
Jeez, fair play.
And that was back in 2012, 2013. We were made redundant in 2014. He trained to be a barber, and I decided to open the phone store as a shop, which is in the same location where the game store is. But the end goal was always make enough money from the phone side to slowly start to bring in the game side, which is what I did. And kind of the biggest thing was, and it's funny that my wife's actually sitting to my right, is I borrowed the wedding fund in 2017. The year before we got married, and opened the retro gaming store.
I'd say she was only too delighted that it seemed like it worked out well, eh?
it was like a 6-month experiment. We said we'd try it and see what sort of market it was, because I mean Wexford's small enough and Ireland's a small market. But here we are into our 5th year.
Nearly 5 years, aye. That's insane.
And it's still going.
Like I remember seeing the pictures on your Facebook where it was the shop before, but then you'd have like the spinny rack. Is that what it was? You'd have like the few games in it, and then it was like one rack, and then it was like a shelf, and then it just kind of just took off.
There was 2 big Billy bookcases as well at one stage, and that was it. The back of the shop had nothing in it because it's where the counter used to be.
Okay.
And we used to sit kind of just before where the toilet door would be. We used to sit kind of that area, and the whole side was blocked off. It's where all the PlayStation and Nintendo stuff is now. That was all closed off. Yeah. So we just opened it up and squeezed as much in as we could.
That's awesome. How did you find the transition? Like it was a kind of gradual one, but then when you made the move to completely specialising in retro, like how did you find the transition there?
It was tough.
Right?
I won't lie, it was actually really, really tough.
Okay.
Because I think when we started it, we got one mother load.
Okay.
And we actually bought out an entire guy's collection, which was significant enough.
He had a shop before, was it?
No, he actually was selling up and he was moving.
Oh, right, okay.
And obviously he didn't want to take it with him, so we bought the entire collection. Now, it took us a week to clean his stuff. It'd been left in a very dirty garage for probably 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And so we don't have a very big house. And I think there's a video at the very beginning of the Retro Gaming Store right back in 2016 where there's a video.
Okay.
And it actually shows the boxes reaching the ceiling in the house and taking up half the living room at the same time as well.
Fair enough.
And that was it. But of course, when you sell all that, which is obviously it's great, you're kind of stuck to the point. How do we get more stuff?
Now what?
Now what? Exactly. Now what?
No what?
Well, one person told another person who told another person, this guy buys old crap, basically. That's what we said. This guy buys old crap. So just people started coming in, and I think we're very competitive with our trading prices against CEX. And that's kind of where we kind of grew slowly. We didn't transition straight away. I think 2017, 2018, even 2019, we still had kind of the phone accessory side of the business in the store with it. And I think first lockdown, I think, was March 2020. That's when we said, right, it's done. Let's do it. I think, funnily enough, the lockdown the following year meant we'll add new gen in and get rid of the rest of the tech side of the business. So it's been a really slow process, but we're there now. We're there, kind of where we want to be now, I think.
Oh, like I said, like, no, I keep blowing smoke up your arse, but the shop's fantastic. I absolutely love the shop, and everybody who I talk to about gaming over here, like, where do you buy your stuff? It's like Retro Gaming Store Plus. Just send a link, and then just bang on the stuff, because again, buying for somebody who you can relate to makes it better, in my opinion. Like, that kind of, even this call just now, and when we came in and we're chatting away, and like, it makes
the nervousness goes.
So just a kind of curious question. When lockdown happened, obviously a lot of people kind of started getting into retro gaming. Then, like myself, like, I started properly collecting during the lockdown. Did you find that was I don't know what to say, a good time, because obviously lockdown was awful, but did you find that it kind of helped business kind of grow a wee bit, like with that kind of sudden influx of like people getting back into retro gaming?
I think it did. I think at the beginning, like when we all kind of closed, I think it was March. I think the last day we closed was March 16, 2020.
Okay. And
my first thought is, how am I going to pay the mortgage?
See, that's it.
And because we didn't really have an online side of the business at that stage. And it's kind of where I came up when people were saying, well, do you have a stock list at least? And we started sending them by Excel. And I think I spent, March through May building the website, thinking it's probably not the last time we're going to be sitting at home, which unfortunately it's happened twice since.
It's been a long 2 weeks, I'm telling you.
I think we're bordering on that again. But kind of, I built it myself, which is probably why it took so long. And it's something that I said to myself, I'll never do it again. But I am thinking about doing it again in a different way. But I like having control of the site. I run every side of it. Every order is dealt with personally. I think just something about kind of trying to make it as close to the real thing as you can get, but you just can't do that. But yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. I think we became a lot more known by the end of the first lockdown, maybe going into Christmas in 2020. And I think it's carried on in 2021 and even 2022 now as well so far. And we love when people come that have said, we're after buying off you for the last year. And we finally have to get in. Now, unfortunately, for reasons for the last few months, I haven't been in store myself much.
Okay.
But that's going to change. I do plan on coming back at least 3 days out of the 6. And that's the aim, probably from February. But the online side is so busy, it's a full-time job.
Oh, 100%, I can only imagine.
Yeah. So I do have staff, and I do have really good staff. And I think you met Sean probably on one of the first ever days you worked for.
Was it? I remember there being like a tall guy. I think he had long dark hair.
That's him. That's Sean. Yeah.
Because he was on the other side of the counter, and I initially thought that he was just a customer. But then the way he was kind of chatting, I was like, no, he seems like he works here. I don't know. I wasn't 100% sure. But
yeah, and he still works here.
Sean was dead on as well. Like, when me and Chris came that time, we were at the exact same position where we'd been ordering stuff for 8 months before that, and then as soon as lockdown ended, we were like, right, road trip, we need to go.
Yeah. And I know we've been chatting for at least a year.
I think I'd been annoying you. It's like, can you send me another list? Have you updated your list? Can you send what NES games have you got?
I think I know we did a trade on the same day as well when you came down. I think we'd done most of it, and then you came down with extras. I
think so. I think I had games. I was like, will you take these games with me? And you're like, hi. And then another thing as well was like, I initially came down. Well, I wanted to come to see the shop anyway, but like, I wanted to get only 2 or 3 things. But then the more I chatted to you, I was like, oh, I'll get this as well. Oh, I'll get this as well. Like, I ended up leaving with like about 40 things. Like, the magazines were...
Yeah, there was a couple of random bits at the end of that you were walking out.
I just came in for a couple of games. I just wanted to see what the games were, because I was collecting for the N64. So that was my main thing. And I left
Was
like
it
an
yourself or
Xbox
Chris
controller.
that took the Game Boy?
It was me who bought it, the Game Boy Advance.
Yes.
It was me who bought it for my buddy in Wales, like James, who does the channel again. Sorry,
Yeah.
he wanted a new one because he was wanting to mod one, so he wanted another one. But when I sent him the one I got for your shop, he kept that one and modded his other one. Because the one he got for you was in such good condition, he kept that one and then modded his other one. But we
Yeah, that's good.
went a bit mental in it. I don't know, all the stuff's still there somewhere. But no, it was fantastic. So you're a collector yourself, and
I am.
you have a shop that basically specializes in collecting. So how do you kind of separate business for personal needs? Because you must get some stuff in. We're like, oh, this would be great in my collection. Oh, do you?
If I see if something that comes in that I really want, I keep it. It's as simple as I'll be more honest to that. I don't do this much anymore because I'm conscious. Well, I've paid this much for it, and I didn't buy it myself. The store bought this, not me. I can't really give myself a present all the time, but there are some things I did keep. Like, I think the best one I got was the one that completed my PS1 collection, which was Nightmare Creatures 2. I remember somebody walking in with an entire horror bundle, and I was like, I have to get this. This is mine. I don't care how much they ask for it, I'm just paying them. And I did. I actually way overpaid for the bundle, but I kept Nightmare Creatures 2.
Happy
And then that was it. And that's kind of it. I don't do that quite as badly anymore.
Is that just because the wife said, is it?
No. Funnily enough,
No,
she
it's
actually
fine.
kind of encourages it. It's my... She has her hobbies, and I have my hobby, and this is kind of... Other than kind of movie memorabilia, it's kind of the only thing I really collect.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was actually Laura that pretty much built shop. She's the one that did the counter, shelves, painting, the decals in the windows, all over the place. So she has a pretty major input.
Well, fair play, fair play to Laura. It's a beautiful looking shop, to be honest. It's a proper no nostalgia, well, kind of like nostalgia trip, but walking in and just seeing like all the shelves, like just the way the layout is, everything's like open and nice. Like having kind of the newer stuff up the front and then kind of going back, and like that's where like all the Game Boy stuff and all the... That's when I just started losing myself. It was amazing.
Do you know why we do that? When you walk into the store and you go back,
it's like back in time.
Going back in time.
Oh yes.
Yeah. It's funny enough that probably can't show you, but it's my Back to the Future T-shirt.
Oh my man.
Yeah.
I got this Back to the Future game pop thing here. When I was in Scotland
nice.
last time.
I've been trying to get PS4 one, but it's gone really expensive.
Oh man, there's I got that. There's a shop in Scotland, or there's a shop in the UK called B&M, which is like a kind of...
I know them, yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. I love that shop. But there's Forbidden Planet as well. Like, you go Forbidden Planet over here. In B&M, they're selling that for a tenner. I went into Forbidden Planet, and they're trying to sell it for 50 quid. I was like, are you joking? It's the same thing. 40 quid a difference just because of the shop it was in.
And it's not exactly the VAT. So.
Exactly, import tax. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just talking about collections again, is there like something specific you're collecting for just now, or is it just kind of whatever takes your fancy?
No, I've kind of, in terms of the normal collections, I kind of got everything I wanted.
Okay.
So I've started collecting sealed stuff.
Oh.
But it's not an older system, but it's the 3DS. But it's got some really good games. So I've gotten, I think, all the Pokemon games sealed so far. A couple of Mario bits, and I love Silent Hill, so I've actually got the Silent Hill HD collection on the Xbox 360 sealed. I've got 2 copies of that for some random reason.
Two's better than one.
Yeah, I might end up opening one, and just keep the other one. But it's kind of sealed stuff. Maybe kind of go into the dark arts of grading.
Okay.
But that's just for myself. That won't be something that you'll ever kind of see in the store itself.
That's fair. the grading scene's taken a very weird turn with Mario, like in
Yes, it
the
has.
whole auctions
What?
and things like that. It's mental. It's a rabbit hole. Like,
It's a shame there's not actually a European kind of grading. Well, I don't know. I don't know one. I think the closest one we have is UK Graders,
aye,
but it's a bit of a pain with having to complete all the customs documents and put them in the box
see,
and
that's it.
send them off. And it's kind of Brexit's a bit of a mess, kind of a game, to be honest.
Aye, still a mess. It's been what, 5 years? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But I was looking at UK Graders as well myself, because you know the Game & Watch that Nintendo released recently, the Zelda one and the Mario one. Like, I've still got them. I've got them, but I've not opened them. And somebody on one of the forums said you should get them graded. And I was like, oh, that's probably, if I was going to get anything graded, it would be that, like. And I couldn't find anywhere that would grade at a decent price. Like, UK Graders didn't have them. I contacted them to ask if they would do like a custom thing. They never go back to me. And
really,
the next thing after that's the States. Like, I don't know, because it was in fairness, it was over Christmas time and New Year, and I think they said that
they did say they were closed for 2 weeks over Christmas.
Aye.
I think I spoke to one of the guys early December.
Okay.
And he said that they're closing up the week before Christmas and reopening, I think, like 10th of January. So they might come back to you at some stage.
At some
but
point,
it's their price is actually really reasonable at the moment.
Aye.
It's £30 including VAT, which when you think about Wata or someone like that, it's $125, I think, or something.
Oh, something crazy, isn't it?
And then you're talking kind of customs again with the US. So
once it's value, trying to get it sent back over and spending more money because the value suddenly went up.
Well, what I'll do is when I'm on the work laptop, is I'll send you the form from Revenue. It's actually free, and it's simply you just fill it in, name details, what it is, and when you would expect it back into our country, and then that covers no customs going in or out, because you own the product and you're basically letting someone borrow it and send it back to you. I didn't know that, but I actually asked my accountant, and that's what he told me. And then he sent me the form, and it's actually a real thing, so it's great. It makes a big difference, kind of doing the customs issue. So
interesting, but it's something I'd be looking into. Like, I'm still building the collection myself. There will be a video coming out soon with me kind of discussing the N64 collection and basically my collecting plans. Because things are kind of starting to change a wee bit for me now. Like with the N64 collection, that's my main focus.
Yeah.
But I'm at that point now where it's, you know, Paper Mario and Kirby and some of like the harder or more expensive games now. So like I'm kind of all the expensive games like Aiden, and then all the NHL and NBAs. Like I've got mostly kind of the middle stuff.
Yeah.
So like I'm thinking.
And I see you put labels on the top of your N64 games as well, don't you?
It's the spine labels. That's the first.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of guys on some of the UK groups that actually do them. Yeah, they're really, really handy.
Oh, you need them. Like for N64, they're absolutely needed. But no, I'm proud of my Wii N64 collection so far. But there's only a handful of games that I want to get now for the N64 that I want to have in the collection to play, like Paper Mario and Kirby and things like that.
Yeah.
Like the other games.
So do you collect to play then, or buy to collect?
I bet you both, to be honest. Like I've spent more. I've bought more sports games in the last year than I've bought in the last 30 years. Like the amount of sports games I bought for the N64, even for the Wii U, like FIFA 13, like I bought that just to have it. I didn't play it. It's just there. Like.
It's part of the collection. That's it. Yeah.
But there's still games like where, like only recently, like when I got the Xbox controller, funnily enough for you, that's when I first properly got to play Xbox, because I got the console only off Chris, who came with me that time. So I just had the console. Then I had to order the AV cable off Amazon.
Yeah.
And then order the controller for yourself the first time. But then there was issues with that in packaging. Know yourself. No, it wasn't your fault. It was the delivery.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until the second time the time I came back to your shop to get the controller is the first time I had then the full Xbox assembled.
That's so about a year's wait.
Literally, like I got the console, the cable, and then it's just like a standard kettle plug lead. Like
Yeah, pretty much.
So that was the same for that. And then trying to find a controller at a good price as well. Like a good, like the S for a good price was impossible to find. And then again, I think that's another thing when I came into the shop and chatting away, and it's like, oh look, there's one there. It's like, oh, that's a good price. Can I get that as well, please? But no, it's collecting's for myself. It's a wee bit over the place just now. Like my complete collections in this here.
Mine's across 3 houses.
All right.
It's and cabin done during the first lockdown, but that was more for where Laura could work from and kind of where I could do my new generation gaming.
Okay.
Because we had nowhere really to put the likes of the TV and the PS5. Because it's mad, isn't it, when you think about it? You buy a TV to play the PlayStation 5. That's it. It's no point in playing it on an older TV, so you're kind of stuck having to buy both. They don't tell you that at the beginning, but it's a big difference when you have it.
Oh, I'd imagine so. The calendar recently enough got a 4K TV, and even just running my PlayStation 4 through that was night and day difference. Like, but then I've got kind of an older TV next door in the bedroom for like all the consoles. Like it's still got the the RGB connections in them.
Yeah.
So like I use that for the N64 and the PlayStation and stuff like that. So, but it's happy days. Collecting marks. Nobody said it was going to be easy. Like
that's it. I've tried hooking my Commodore up to my 65-inch 4K TV. It's a little stretched.
The pixels.
It does work.
This.
I did get the kind of RGB cables for it.
Okay.
And a couple of little add-ons that allows us to load faster. Which always helps with the Commodore. A guaranteed load, a game that's guaranteed to load is always positive for a Commodore. And I love the fact they're still making new games for it.
Aye.
I love that. Yeah. Same with the Mega Drive, actually.
See, that's the thing. I was talking to my buddy there recently enough who is collecting Dreamcast in the States, and there's a new Dreamcast game coming out. It's like called Kingdom Gang or Gangs of the Kingdom or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But like companies like Limited Run that are making like even Vita games and like their own kind of Switch games, and there's Incubate and what's the other one? Making Game Boy games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can't think of what one's called. But the fact that there's still kind of new old games coming out is amazing.
I just have Laura right behind the screen, plugging in the charger. I've gone dark there, but I can still see what I need to see.
Perfect stuff. So
there we go.
You're nearly 5 years in business now, so I can only imagine that you've got some stories that you can tell. Is there anything kind of that sticks to mind, or anything that kind of jumps out? Maybe any rare items that you've got that have kind of come through the shop that you can share?
I think, there's a couple of things. I think one of the funniest things was we had an older guy come in and said, I haven't seen these VHSs in a long time. I was looking at what's he looking at? He kept picking up this Sega Mega Drive stuff and thinking, I remember seeing this movie when I was 16. I was looking and thinking, what's he on? It was like, they're not VHS or games.
Just
all right then. I'm not interested now. So fair enough. I think in terms of the rarest game we've ever had, it's probably close enough to one that's coming in 2 weeks, which I'm not going to give the name of it away. But it is a Sega game.
Okay.
But I think the two rarest ones we've probably had have been both Sega.
Okay.
We've had the Punisher, and we've also had the Mega CDM Snatcher.
Okay.
Snatcher is super rare now, but I think 2 years ago, it wasn't at the price. It's ridiculous now. You're talking £500 sterling for Snatcher, but I've seen Punisher go for at least 700. We've had the Death of Superman as well. Actually, a lot of Sega stuff. I think Super Nintendo wise, we had a bundle there last year, where we got quite a lot of really, really top titles in one go. The team got like Mega Man. We got, I think, we sold to Retro Gamer Ireland there. He got a couple of lovely Christmas presents there from his family. I think one was the Mint Box Game Boy, and the other one was Super Turrican and Super Metroid.
Jeez,
the big box Super Metroid.
I think I remember I think I remember seeing that in one of your lives. Was that only recently enough? Was it?
I think it was probably about 4 or 5 months ago. But it was like it was a Super Nintendo live video.
You got the Street Fighter tin as well, did you? Is that the same one?
We did, yeah. That's the same. That's the same video. Yeah, the Street Fighter tin.
I remember seeing that tin. Cool. I remember seeing that tin. I've seen it before, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." Then I saw it in the video, and I was like, "Whoa, I need to get that."
I'm not a big Nintendo collector.
Okay.
I'm not really a Nintendo collector much at all, bar the 3DS. And I saw it and I thought, this looks really nice. And it kind of looks quirky. And when I opened it up, I didn't realise it's brand new inside.
Oh.
The insides, the game had never been used. And the little badge and everything was still sealed. And all the paperwork was just so mint. Tin itself was a little bit battered, shall we say. A little bit used.
It's always a bit what's on the inside. Never judge a book by its cover, so to say.
Oh yeah, we do. Laura just said something to me, and it kind of the console that nobody knows what it is. I think we actually did a live video of that from the cabin. I think that would have been probably August, maybe July, August last year.
Okay.
Where it was made in Tala, really random in Dublin. Ironically, it's where my wife's from as well. Oh. Which is even funnier, but it was made in 1983. We don't know what it is because it works, but we can't tune it in. And you can hear it. It's kind of like a punk clone, only it's probably about a quarter of the size of my shop counter. The actual machine is.
Okay.
It's huge and it weighs a ton. It's made of complete wood. Really expensive looking wood as well. And we have no idea what it is. The company folded 6 months after they made it. Okay. And the 3 directors are all dead.
Jesus.
So we have no way of finding out anything about it until we actually try and tune it in. We just know it was from some kind of, it sounds like Cinedyne. It almost sounds like the guys out of the Terminator movie. Same kind of, roughly the same business name.
Okay.
And that's as far as we got with it. So that could be worth absolutely nothing, or it could be worth a fortune. Oh, we'll never know.
It sounds like a good YouTube video.
Yeah, it's currently in my attic.
Fair. It sounds like something something for like Indiana Jones and the Lost Ark. Something that's kind of accidentally made its way out of the warehouse somehow, and it's ended up.
Yeah, it looks like a prototype. It actually does look like a prototype. And it looks like it's the only thing they ever made as well, which didn't bode well for the company.
They spent all that money on that nice wood, and that was
it. Yeah, and that was it. Yeah, never sold one.
It's interesting. So you're going on 5 years now. Is there any kind of big plans that you have in the future that you can discuss just now, or are you just looking to keep going as the way you are?
Well, we do have a pretty big kind of thing happening. We are going to announce it at the beginning of February properly.
Okay.
So everybody comes to the Retro Gaming Store page and store, I think, for retro games. Aye. And I know we do a lot of new gen stuff, which is generally for kind of the mass market, which does complement kind of the retro side of it because it just gives you the overall market. But there is going to be a bit of a split, and it'll become a lot more known soon. We've been doing a lot of kind of background work.
Okay.
My wife's a designer, so she's already designed some of the new artwork.
Okay.
Which will get kind of a reveal, kind of, I think 1st of February. Yeah, 1st of February. So Tuesday, 1st of February is kind of the big reveal. But I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed.
Oh, no.
Actually, I think it'll give the retro game store back a bit more of a purity, especially kind of online, where I found that probably in the last 6 months it's been a little watered down with posting new generation stuff. And we can tell by the feedback. But because the market's so big, we know the market is somewhere else. So it's best kind of to leave the two of them go their separate ways. Not in store, but more kind of online.
Okay.
And you'll see a big difference in the next maybe 2 to 3 months, because it'll slowly turn into what it's meant to be.
Okay.
I don't want to give too much away because it's our biggest reveal this year.
That's fine. No, that's just nice wee juicy tidbits there you've just kind of sprinkled over there. That's fine. So a lot of this is going to be on your YouTube. You'll be covering a lot of there, will you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we're going to do on YouTube is talk about our experiences, kind of like a mini documentary series.
Okay.
Talk about the experiences of how we open the store, how we keep the store opening, what it would take for somebody else to go in and do the same thing, which is kind of like you said earlier, it's planting the seeds. And that's kind of what we want to do. We kind of want the scene to grow, not just to be the only one. So I know that sounds like it's a good thing, but it's also not a good thing because it means the market is stagnant and doesn't grow. And I think the more you kind of expose other people in other places to this, I think the better for the gaming industry in Ireland as a whole.
Exactly.
Like you said, there's only 2 other stores that I know of, and one obviously is probably the biggest one, which is in Dublin. Yeah, Laura I just want to go game hunting. But yeah, I think we do. We get a lot of people from, say, like the Cork, Kilkenny, Waterford, and like they'll come down maybe once or twice a year, but they'll spend all year buying online. And they always say, "Well, I'd love to open a store." Well, we're going to feed you some of the information that you're going to need. That's what the YouTube video is going to be about. And also how to get suppliers, how to deal with kind of the finances side.
Cool.
I come from a finance background.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I run everything in my business. It's all based on finance.
Very cool. So it's going to
should be good.
No, it sounds very interesting. So it's going to be like all the kind of nitty gritty stuff. It can do from beginning to
all
end,
all the bits you don't see when you walk into the store, basically. Yeah. That's
awesome. Are you going to be doing any kind of gaming specific things like reviews or anything like that, or is it going to be just down to business?
No, we're planning on doing, I think, 3 other things. We love doing the live videos of kind of the new stuff. And so we are going to kind of do double video where we do the live video, but we also then do a separate one then for YouTube.
Okay.
Of kind of like almost like an unboxing the box. I haven't really edited anything before, so that should be fun. I use I think I'm using Lightworks.
Okay.
And that seems to be pretty good. I've done 1 or 2 things on it and it seems to be okay.
Okay.
And so there's that, and I think then we want to get into kind of restoration kind of and repair. Okay. And I think we've had a lot of people who've asked for that. How do we make our consoles look how our consoles look? Because a lot of the consoles we get in don't look like that. And what we use to clean them. Because there is certain things that are good for certain consoles and then not so good for other consoles. So we don't want to say, use this, and then you burn your other one. So
you melt your board by accident.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So, and then I think reviews, something that everybody wants to see. The only problem I find with reviews is, do I review something I like, or do I review somebody else likes? And yeah, customer feedback. We always do that anyway. We always throw that out there on the Facebook page. What do you want to see? Pretty much.
No, it's awesome. That's something I kind of find hard as well, is reviewing things necessarily that I don't like. Like, almost seems to be everything I like playing, I'm making a video about, or reviewing, or doing something with. And we purposely need to kind of do these like bad game challenges to play and review games that we didn't necessarily want to play.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that we need to work on as well. Because
I think I'm probably going to be a bit too blunt. This is crap. Don't buy this.
The games
that you like. Get away from that.
The games that you like are about 10-15 minute videos. The ones that you didn't like are about 30 seconds. It's game shite.
Lots of editing.
That's awesome. So your YouTube channel set up just now. So can you just tell me what that is again?
Yeah, it's we've kind of tried to do it blanket. It's retro gaming store.
Perfect.
When you type that into YouTube, I think the first video that pops up is our actual intro video, which is kind of a walk through the store.
Yep.
The store has changed a lot often, so I could do a lot of walkthrough videos and it won't look the same. I do like to meddle in the store. I do like to maneuver things around, which I think has probably been done 20 times since that video. Yeah, I think that's what Laura actually made the good point. It's trying to make room. It's the store is only so big, and when we kind of buy bundles, we tend to go big, and then we worry about where we're going to put them. I think at some stage you're probably going to end up seeing them hanging out of the ceiling. I think we've done that before with other things. That may come back again.
But, there was in a video yesterday where Laura says there's all this stuff going to wreck my living room or something like that.
Yeah, I do get a lot of my stuff delivered to the house because I work from home most of the week, and it gives me a much better chance to actually clean, test, and kind of code and price, and then I bring them down and then put them out, and keep some too. I haven't kept as much in the last while, to be honest. I forgot about that. The last thing we got in actually kept all of it. It was a Panasonic 3DO bundle, and one of the guys who worked for me actually bought the Panasonic 3DO off me a while ago.
Okay.
And then I said to him, after getting all the games that you don't own, I said, unfortunately, neither do I, so I'm keeping. So they're out. They're nice and displayed now. So I love the 3DO. I think it's a super underrated console as well.
I've never played it, believe it or not. It's a lot of the stuff in the pre-NES I've never really dabbled in.
I think
or the 3DO was after that.
Probably. I think funnily enough, FIFA, which I used to love and I don't anymore. The very first ever FIFA, it's probably the best ever variant of the FIFA International Soccer.
Okay.
By a mile, and it's a 64-bit console as well.
Yes.
So, like, against the Mega Drive, it's a massive difference.
Oh man, I'll need to look into that. Like, one thing as well is, like, I've got kind of limited exposure to consoles because, again, I was kind of a Nintendo kid growing up. So, like I said, I've only just kind of started with the Xbox there recently enough, and I had the 360s and the ones and the other wee bits, but it seems kind of like all the late 80s, early 90s non-Nintendo stuff, like I've missed a lot out on. So I think I need to
there was a lot of weird consoles.
Aye.
Like the Philips CDI, I think is one I don't own.
Okay.
It's one I really want, only for one game, Mad Dog McCree.
Okay.
I'd never seen anything as lifelike on a video game in my life. Walking through a shopping centre, I think in Dublin, I think it was the Ilac Centre. Okay. I remember walking past. It could have been Curry's or Dixon's. I can't remember. But I just remember hearing the voice of you talking to me. And I kind of looked around and it was on this big projector. I was like, that's a video game. I want one of those. And then we looked at the price and it was £699 or something. So that was it. Never got one.
And suddenly they didn't want it so much,
No.
Like, I want to get the big collection thing for me is the Zelda. So I get like the Zelda CDIs, but again, anytime I come across them, they're ridiculous prices.
Yeah. Zelda holds its value no matter what it's on. It's kind of like Pokemon, really, isn't it?
Aye.
Yeah.
Insane. Like, it's hard to find at a good price any Zelda or any Pokemon stuff, especially older stuff.
Yeah. I think we had blue and red last night and went last night. And that's it. Like every time we get Pokemon stuff in, it's gone. The moment we do a live video, somebody's buying the moment it goes live, or someone's already PM'd us while we're still doing it.
I think I've been guilty of that a couple of times.
Yeah.
Can you keep this for me?
There's a couple of people that do that.
I was always the lonely one. Like, even during the lockdown, I feel like I was always at you. I was like, can you send me on another list, please?
I think there's a couple. One, it's a husband and wife. One, the husband watches the videos.
Okay.
While the wife messages. Yeah. Asking for stuff. And usually without him knowing. Because he never has a clue when they arrive. So that's a couple of nice games though.
That's awesome, man. No, I absolutely love. I love your shop and I love your Facebook and everything that you're doing. Again, no trying to blow smoke up your arse or big you up anything, but I think credit where credit's due. Like, even you as a person, and the shop, everything is just fantastic, and I'm so happy there's somebody like you in this shop, kind of relatively close by to me, that it's accessible, because again, there's nothing like it in Ireland. Like,
You know what's funny about this video?
tell me.
You said you were nervous at the beginning, but we've talked for an hour.
I know, I just noticed that. I know I'm paranoid, I'm wasting your time. I don't know why I'm always
talking about video games, I
worried
can't
about,
stop.
oh god, I'm always worried about wasting people's time. See,
Oh no, I love
thing
talking about video games.
Oh, it's the same. But another thing, I'm going to be editing this afterwards as well. So.
Good luck with that.
May this be one big long video and that'll be it. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
No, but that's awesome, man. Like I said, I really appreciate this. If you didn't mind, just a kind of few quick fire questions, and then we'll end it off here. So, favorite console, first thing that comes to mind.
Sega Mega Drive.
Good man. Favorite game.
Streets of Rage 2.
Favorite franchise.
Oh, that's a toughie. I think Resi Evil has to be my favorite franchise, gaming wise.
Good man. And what are your thoughts on pineapple and pizza?
No, ever. It's funny, my wife loves it, and I just looks at her thinking, that does not go there. It doesn't go anywhere other than in with a bowl of ice cream. Or a bowl of cream.
That's awesome. So can you just tell me again where people can find you, your Instagram and your YouTube again?
Yeah, we're the Retro Gaming Store. It's the same name for both Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I think they're the 3 social medias we're on, and then the website obviously is theretrogamingstore.com as well.
Perfect stuff. I think Discord is good as well. So like if you're ever kind of looking,
yeah, it's actually not too bad at all, is it?
Aye, it's good because like you can make your own server, and then people can join it, and then you can post updates and stuff like that there, and you set the rules and stuff like that as well. So it's we've been kind of dabbling in it here now, and it's proven handy. Like,
yeah, I think the picture quality is really good as well.
Aye, that's very good.
I don't know how you're sounding grand on my end. I don't know how I'm sounding on yours, because I was going to use the external microphone. I think the laptop itself has a really good built-in microphone anyway, so I think it seems to be grand. So
absolutely clear as a bell. Look, Tony, like I said, man, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. And
no worries, all really good chatting.
Sure, I'll leave you be now.
Perfect. Well, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Nice one. You too, Tony, man.
I'll go on. Bye bye.
Thanks, man.
Oh. All right. Bye.